Welcoming to the chair this morning is Eric Mihan, and he is from the Bangor Wine and Cheese. How are you?
I'm great, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and you are a Sugarloafer, but you come from New Jersey. What brought you all the way to Bangor?
A woman.
Well,
isn't that always the case?
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, my wife Christine, who has been is a native Mainer, is from Bangor. I had her down in the clutches of New Jersey with me for the past 10 years, which is where I'm from. And we did the 20s there, which was fun, you know, a lot to do. But we longed for a life like this. And so, yeah, we saw a chance, jumped at it, bought the shop back in November, and have been thrilled ever since.
Good for you. And what a dramatic change to go from New Jersey to here. And it's like living the dream here, isn't it?
Phenomenal. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I went from just before we moved here doing an hour-and-a-half to 2-hour commute into and out of Philadelphia, you know, 5 days a week, to having a 5-minute commute that I can walk if it's beautiful out. And,
yeah.
And the folks up here are just, I mean, you can feel that there's just a sort of a better way of life because everybody is happy. Everybody's in a good mood.
It's true.
You know, and even those who aren't, they probably have a legitimate gripe.
Or they haven't discovered any of your fine wines
exactly.
yet.
Good lead-in. Excellent lead-in. Yeah, no, I did bring some of the products, the wines and beers that we have at Bangor Wine and Cheese. What I really enjoyed is you know, I took over a business that was set up marvelously, so I mean, it was beauty, really. But there was a woman, Leslie Thistle, who had been very, very active in really sort of raising the culinary bar in general. She started in Dover Foxcroft, but moved into Bangor, opened several restaurants in the shop, and it's right up the alley of where I had been sort of focusing my attention in wine and beer down in New Jersey. And it just worked out so well.
Where's it exactly located in Bangor?
It's on 86 Hammond Street, right next to the old courthouse, and plenty of on-street parking on both sides, and right between two excellent restaurants, Massimo's and Fiddleheads, and which is certainly, I mean, that's great for traffic as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really beautiful building. It was rehabbed in 2000,
yep.
So I mean, it's got old charm, but you know, you don't trip on any bricks that are loose or anything like that, which is nice.
Right. Now, there's been some changes, legislative changes in your business that may or may not have affected you. Wine tasting.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about how that's changed and what it means to you.
It was very interesting for me coming up here. This past September up here, there was a bill enacted into law wherein, and this was for all best intentions, wanting to combat juvenile alcohol abuse, but they mandated that children 18 or under could not witness a wine tasting. Which, yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry.
But, yeah, I understand why they did it. Again, best of intentions, but it did end up hurting small wine merchants like myself. I mean, it was originally designed to prevent folks from going into your Hannafords, your Shaws that happen to have liquor aisles and having to be exposed necessarily to that if you're just there to pick up some broccoli or whatever, you know.
I see.
But they came up with a sort of arbitrary set of rules about how you could do a wine tasting if you wished, and it precluded some honest, you know, standalone wine merchants from doing it. And the profit is real when you do a wine tasting,
sure.
And it hurt small business. And to Maine's credit, well, we sort of started a grassroots campaign amongst the wine merchants, which has coalesced now into something called the Maine Wine Retailers Association, of which I'm a proud member. And we put pressure on the government, and Representative Fitz introduced a new bill based on our wishes, and it passed. And Baldacci signed it, and democracy worked. I mean,
that's funny.
It was
because
phenomenal.
Don't they have wine tasting in church?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about. I mean, because you can't get exposed. I'm a big fan of wine, but I'm very limited what I buy because I don't have chances to.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's tough in a state like Maine due to distances. There are several really excellent wholesalers that are, focusing on smaller production wines, more interesting things, but they just don't have the reach. And some of the folks that do make it out to Sugarloaf's way and things like that, they're very good, but there hasn't been a lot of push to sort of educate the public, and I think that's changing, and it's things like tasting laws that are going to allow it to change. So hopefully the folks that do make it out here, the wholesalers that make it out here, will start to offer more things. I know there was a wine dinner just last Thursday, I believe, put on by Pine State, which is one of these statewide beverage companies. And it'll grow, and hopefully, the other reason that we created this Maine Wine Retailers Association is to include anybody who wants to do this and give them the resources, even in outlying areas like this, that folks who are interested can access the wines and the education that they want. Now,
it's not just wine. There, you have you also carry delicatessen items, or just cheeses?
Well, just artisanal cheeses. Again, I didn't start the business, but it was very fortunate. I had back in New Jersey worked for Whole Foods Markets and helped them open the Princeton store, which at the time was the largest in the company. And though I was hired to start the liquor section, which fell under the umbrella of the specialty goods section, they didn't get a liquor license. So I ended up I ended up working there and learning all about cheese and became their cheese specialist. So I had a background in cheese anyway, and it was after that that I actually started to work for sort of the wine boot camp stores, like my original employer, the Princeton Corkscrew, which was run by a crazy Burgundian who has an impeccable palate, and that's where I really trained. But yeah, so the cheese thing is very important to me because it's part of my overall directive to get people eating, drinking, living better on a daily basis. You don't have to go to 3-star restaurants to be able to do that. You need to find better things that are accessible, and a good bottle of wine, a good piece of cheese, that's accessible to anyone.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about some of these products that you brought with you today, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with Eric with more.